And we will preview Thursday Night Football with our best bets at the end of the show. But before we do that, let's get into love-hate as promised. We start with the running backs. No intro. We're
just players.
Just cold turkey.
Cold turkey. Just diving right
into it. All right, let's do it. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's got the Raiders, Jay. And listen, the story with Jahmyr Gibbs, as we've talked about, is when David Montgomery is out, he gets the volume, and he's had success with that volume.
Yeah, he has. And two kind of strange games when David Montgomery was out, where Gibbs against Atlanta didn't have a massive game, but did get the volume. And then against the Ravens in a game that was a total blowout, he did get the work. He has such a high floor because of the passing game work, and when he's getting the carries, when he's getting 15, 17 carries, and he only got 11 against the Ravens because they were down 21-0 by the time they ran their 7th play on offense. But yeah, I think he is a top 10 running back without question this week, Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, look, we like the workload without Dave Montgomery. He doesn't play, and it's a good matchup against the Raiders as well, right? 135 scrimmage yards per game to running backs. That's what the Raiders give up. This game is on the turf in Detroit, which should also benefit Gibbs, who not only got, 83% of the running back touches last week, he also got a 20% target share. So as we've talked about, no Montgomery, give me all the Gibbs on a national stage. The Jahmyr Gibbs we all drafted should once again happen this week. He's my running back 5, as you see it there on your screen.
RB5 for Barry, and right behind him, as you see it there, Alvin Kamara, RB6, also makes the love list. Barry, you want to talk about volume. Kamara, especially in the pass game, is getting all of it.
Yeah, Derek Carr can't throw downfield with any sort of accuracy, so he's just dinking and dunking his way to making Alvin Kamara the greatest running back in the history of football, apparently. 24 touches in every game since returning. 24% target share, which leads all running backs in targets and receptions this season. He missed 3 games, and yet Alvin Kamara leads the NFL in targets and receptions, which is just insane. Running backs have gotten at least 20 touches against the Colts this season, averaging over 24 fantasy points per game.
Yes, America's Ponzi scheme continues. Alvin Kamara receptions.
Like, it's ugly and it shouldn't be right, and it's what's wrong with fantasy football. But don't hate the player, hate the game. This is the game we've chosen to play. This is the life we've chosen. Alvin Kamara is my running back 6 this week, guys.
And to be fair to Kamara, even with the Ponzi scheme, he does look more explosive than he has in a couple of years.
Yeah, he looks better, looks healthier.
Maybe just give him 3 games off to start the year every year.
Just saying.
Comes in fresh, ready to roll. All right, Isiah Pacheco is our next running back on the list. He comes in as a top 10 running back in Barry's rankings this week. Jay as RB8. Pacheco is the guy in the Kansas City backfield. We haven't seen much of McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and the lead back in Kansas City's offense. Good things bound to happen, especially when you got Denver on tap.
Yeah, indeed. And look, he didn't have a huge game on the ground against the Chargers last weekend, but the Chargers quietly have a top 5 rush defense. Much easier matchup against Denver. When he played them last time, he went 16 for 62, also had 6 receptions. And I think even though he didn't have a good game against the Chargers relative to expectations, I think it's a great sign that he still was able to get 60 scrimmage yards, 4 receptions, and a touchdown. He's just so clearly the guy in that backfield now. And the Chiefs' offense, the main thing is they look like they're finally clicking. That was their best offensive performance of the year against the Chargers.
Barry, our last running back here. It's the battle for MetLife. Giants, Jets, and you got Breece Hall, who checks in as RB11. Breece has been a big play machine this year, and now the Jets have said, listen, there's no work limit on him. Dalvin Cook hasn't been good. Michael Carter hasn't been good. Breece is healthy, and this is his backfield.
To be clear, the Jets haven't publicly come out and said that. They haven't come out and said, look, Dalvin Cook isn't any good. Michael Carter isn't any good. We're going to give the ball.
They've shown it, though, with usage.
You're right, exactly. No, if you read between the lines,
it's there.
When you see Carter and Cook just standing on the sideline holding their helmet for the entire game, then you sort of know. But I'm just want to be clear. You're like, hey, they've come out and said there's no training wheels anymore on Breece Hall. No pitch count. He's getting the full workload. They're off the bye here against their crosstown rivals. It is the battle of the soul for South Jersey.
There we go. Exactly. Not South Jersey. No.
North Jersey, whatever it is.
We don't claim South Jersey. That's Penn State Blake territory.
All right, fair enough. Exactly. All right, fine. Jersey. Whatever. I failed geography, but here's what I didn't fail. Starting good running backs in fantasy football, which is what Breece Hall is. 42 touches over the last 2 games, 68% of the snaps the last game we saw Breece Hall play, and now he should get a massive workload against the Giants. Running backs have gotten at least 15 touches against the New York Football Giants, averaging almost 19 fantasy points per game. And so New York, who's a bottom 3 defense in terms of rush yards and yards per carry allowed to running backs, should give it up for Breece Hall. So easy Breezy. Just kind of, I'm workshopping that
Right.
one. What do you think?
They might catch
Starting
on.
him is kind of easy breezy.
I'll try it on Jets pregame and attribute it to you.
Could you? I would
we'll see how it
appreciate
goes.
that.
He's
We'll
my
see if I
running
make it back
He's
for the
my
next
running back
week.
11.
Yeah. A lot of scope to improve from that, Matthew. So a lot of way to go up with Easy Breezy. So Breece Hall's rushing prop the past few weeks has been set in like mid-40s, low 50s. This week it's almost 70.
Wow.
So the market definitely agrees that this is Easy Breezy's backfield now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, it just kind of rolls up the
little
tongue.
smoother.
Well, it doesn't roll. It
The
doesn't
Australian
roll.
accent made it
Breezy.
smoother.
You can't say, not with the Z, with the C. Easy breezy.
Okay. Yeah.
Easy breezy.
Scope for me to improve too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How about some others receiving votes here? A combination of Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad White on Thursday Night Football against a Buffalo defense that is dealing with a lot of injuries. Gus Edwards against Arizona sneaks into the top 25 backs. And then Motor Singletary right at RB30 because he's got the Panthers.
So, look, Rashad White, I don't love, by the way, give me the under on his rushing prop here, but how about the receiving game? That's why you're excited about Rashad White. 5 straight games with a double-digit target share and 3 or more receptions. There are significant underdogs in this game. The Buccaneers are as well. Ramondre Stevenson talking about passing game running backs in games where they're underdogs. Patriots are 9.5-point underdogs this week. 20% target share for Ramondre Stevenson the last 2 weeks. Feels like he's finally starting to get back involved in the passing game here. Cardinals allow the 5th most rushing yards per game to running backs, which is why Gus Edwards comes in at running back 24. And then you mentioned Motor Singletary. Season highs in touches and snap rate last week. Feels like at very worst, this is a committee. At best, he's the starting running back, not Dameon Pierce. Either way, you love the matchup against the Carolina Panthers defense that is not so good. Not so good.
Let's move over to the hate list.
Bottom 3 run defense over the last month.
Not ideal. The hate
Not
list
ideal.
for running backs
Hashtag not ideal.
is kicked off by Joe Mixon. Jay, he makes it as a top 20 running back for Barry by default, RB18, but they're at San Francisco this week.
Yeah, that San Francisco run defense hasn't been as imposing as it was last year. Alexander Mattison looked the most spry that he's looked all season. So the matchup is a bit easier than in perhaps years past, but at the same time, like Mixon is averaging 3.8 yards per carry. He's really living off that 5-touchdown game against Carolina. You take that out, and the stats the past couple of years don't look great, and you would expect that the Niners, after they were kind of embarrassed by the Vikings a little bit, that they will bounce back in a game they may have to win with their defense.
That's the thing. While the Niners defense may be resting on its laurels and its reputation a little bit, so is Joe Mixon. I mean, who is 50th. There's 57 qualified running backs in fantasy points per touch this year. Mixon is 50th. He is 50th out of 57 qualified running backs in fantasy points per touch. Like, you're banking on, or if you start him, you're hoping for massive volume, which he should get, and that he falls into the end zone, which who knows. To your point about the 3.5 yards per carry in 3 of his past 4 games, again, hasn't been efficient at all. And yes, the Niners defense maybe isn't like elite, oh my God, but it's still pretty good. They allow the 5th fewest rushing yards per game to opposing running backs.
Yep, agreed. I do think the Bengals, they should be able to have more success through the air. The sneaky thing with the Niners, and the thing I think their offense will be fine, the defense will be fine overall, but the one thing is they just cannot get pressure outside of Nick Bosa. Like, they lost guys like Amenahu and Ebukam, and they haven't really been able to replace them, and Kirk Cousins was completely upright. Now, Vikings quietly have a very good offensive line, and Christian Darrisaw might be the best left tackle in football along with Trent Williams. And the Bengals do not have a great offensive line, but that's just one thing to notice.
But I mean, by the way, Bengals coming off the bye. Yeah. Joe Burrow should be 100% healthy. T. Higgins also healthy. So they should finally have a full complement of healthy pass catchers for this matchup against San Francisco. Kareem Hunt also makes the hate list as well. Look, it's a tough matchup. Seattle much better against the run than I think they get credit for. They allow 2.9 yards per carry to opposing running backs. That is the best in the NFL, the lowest rate. Every running back that has faced Seattle so far this year has been held to under 80 total yards. Hunt's just, I mean, like, again, I think we'll see some Pierre Strong. Hunt didn't practice yesterday either as well, so we'll see. Maybe that was a veteran rest day, but I'm nervous about him. He's outside my top 25. I have it just running back 26 this week. Kareem Hunt. And then finally, just to whip through this, guys, real quickly, Brian Robinson against the Eagles. You know I love my Commanders. You know I love Brian Robinson. But, look, I mean, Chris Rodriguez is becoming a thing here. So it's a 3-headed committee. Eagles allow 49 rushing yards per game to running backs. That is the best in the NFL as well. 4 straight games with under 60 total yards for Brian Robinson. The early game passing game usage that we saw hasn't really manifested itself. He needs a touchdown, because if he doesn't score a touchdown, it's single-digit fantasy points every game.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.